He's going to do it for me.
Great, that sounds great. Great, then we will kick off. You also have slides?
Yeah. That's it. So there's-
Yeah. Yeah, you can speak here. I will go.
We switch. We just you go back and we come like this. You move back and then move this.
That's good. Okay, thank you all. If everyone can find a seat, then I think we can start. Thank you all. I will just wait for a second. Thank you. Well, everyone, good morning. Welcome. And hope you had already a really fruitful week till now. My name is Lisanne van Oosterhout, and I will be moderating this session for this investor matching event, which is jointly organized with the FAO Hand-in-Hand Investment Forum, which was also actually successfully organized last year, and it already had one day till now. And this event will provide opportunity for the startups, for the non-for-profit organizations, for different projects from the Startup Innovation Awards finalists, and from the World Food Forum incubation program from the Youth Food Lab, to pitch their projects and in front of the foundations, the venture capitalists, and in front of donors, funders, and investors. So all thank you for being here as well. This will hopefully ensure that you all can continue your work, and we see some amazing things from you next year as well, hopefully. So as I explained, today we will have both for-profit and non-profit projects and startups in a variety of stages of maturity, which you also probably will see, and from different backgrounds and countries. And this is why this session will be divided in two. So the first session will be mainly for profit organizations, and the second one will be more on non-for-profit and research projects. And we have in this session 13 teams that will be pitching their projects. So we will have a full program with lots of projects that we will hear today, and some of which already presented during this week as well. So very excited to hear them again. Feel free, hopefully for you all. This is we are here together. So hopefully you feel free enough to also ask your questions, give your remarks, because we will have just a lively discussion, hopefully. And again, thanks all for being here. And without further ado, I would like to give the floor to Maximo for his opening remarks. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for being here with us. And we are moving of what we planned last year to start to move the youth and the innovation of the youth towards what we want to do with investment and the hand-in-hand initiative. So welcome to this special event, jointly organized by the teams of the World Food Forum and the FAO Hand-in-Hand Investment Forum. Today, we are connecting our World Food Forum startup finalists and teams from our World Food Forum incubation program, the Youth Food Lab, with investors, foundations, and funders. And some of you have already been with all the private sector in a special dinner and did a great job to promote the work that you are doing. So thank you so much for being there. And this is the first event of its kind, as it was mentioned before, and it wants to provide opportunity for these you innovators and entrepreneurs to pitch their initiatives in front of you, the people who can help them make a real difference in the world. And I was very happy to see Dr. Cordaro here with you guys. We have been working with him for long years before, at the beginning of this forum. And of course, also our ICC, Hans, which is always supporting the work we do. All of the teams here today are young, bright innovators who have developed amazing high potential solutions to transform the agri-food systems worldwide. And they are working on everything from the developing of new sustainable farming practices to reducing food waste, improving access to healthy food for all. I also was very happy to see the resources that we are providing now. There were two proposals that won the waste group, and they got $10,000 each. The winner got $10,000. And there were other two linked to climate action that also get resources, which is really great that we are able to move into also supporting and giving seed money that will help your process. No, $10,000 is not 10 million, but it's very useful. Most of my best projects have been done with such a little amount of money because it really created me the capacity of doing things that other donors will never do. So I really believe that this connection that we are creating here today can be transformative. And by providing these young innovators with the capital and support they need, we can help them to scale their solutions and make a real impact on the world. Today's event will be divided in two sessions. The first two sections, the first section will focus on 13 startups for profit projects, while the second session will focus on 5 different nonprofits and research initiatives. We will hear from the finalists of the World Food Forum Startup Innovation Awards, powered by the Extreme Tech Challenge, who will present their companies. We will also hear from the young innovators from the incubator programs, the Youth Food Lab, the World Food Forum, Wageningen University and Research, and the International Association for Students in Agriculture and Related Sciences. Have supervised and guided them for the past 9 months, and they have accomplished amazing results, scaling up the solutions they have and have developed. These young innovators are coming from the different backgrounds and countries of the world, and I want them to get access to the right tools, networks to move forward with the projects and scale the solutions they are developing. In the past 2 days, all of these teams have already presented their innovations. I have been lucky to hear some of them. I have been lucky to be working with some of them through Zoom in the last year. And they have presented an innovative project dedicated to solving different problems connecting to our agri-food systems. I believe that ideas like this will be driving force behind the sustainable transformation of our agri-food system. To support these young innovators will be central, but also on our side, on the technical side of FAO, we need to work with you also so that we don't make the mistakes that normally we do when we do innovations. So we need to really push the standards to the highest possible and have the best innovations possible. So nobody wants to be tough on you, nobody wants to criticize, but honestly, we need to put the biggest effort to make really, really great innovations, because you have to flourish and you have to show that you can do really good. So please, any feedback, take it on the positive side, not on the destructive side. Everything we ask and we request, we know that will work, and that's why we are asking for it. So my hope is that you will be in the frontier of innovation, and that requires a lot of investment, time, dedication, precision in what you do. And I hope you can really bring excellent results and link to the solutions that we need and find solutions for giving access to nutritious food to people and improving the terrible numbers we have up to now. I would also like to add that I am particularly excited to see so many young people involved in this work, and the future of our agri-food systems, of course, depends today. Our motto is better food for today and for tomorrow. And that's the linkage of climate and natural resources, because we not only need to provide the right to food today, but we need to provide the right to food tomorrow. That linkage, I think, is central, and we normally have forgotten about it. And that's why we need to attract financing to this transformation. Thank you so much, and I wish you all the success. I apologize that I have to leave, but I have 1,200 kids waiting for me in the plenary. So if I don't go, they will grill me. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Maximo. And also good luck with the 500 kids. I think that 1,500 kids. Oh, wow. I think that will be amazing as well. And also, yeah, I would like, thank you for your words also on the constructive parts, because I think we can be here, give constructive feedback so that you all can continue your work and have some amazing things to work on further along. Next, I would like to give the floor to Mr. John Cadaro. He's involved in the Agri-Food Investment Coalition, an SDG-aligned, inclusive, and efficient public and private sector investing program. Do I say that correctly?
Great, right on target.
Great. John?
Thank you.
The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, and good morning. I'll take the rest of Massimo's hour speaking time that he had been allocated.
I will be tough.
Good morning. The hypothesis of my presentation is that a key impediment for young farmers is lack of access to financial resources to acquire essential tools and capabilities. This deficiency precludes them from maximizing their efforts and skills to achieve significant and sustainable food production breakthroughs. My conclusion is that the highest priority must be given to investing in young farmers to encourage and support their production, delivery of safe, affordable, and nourishing foods on a regular basis. This roadmap recommends creating a new entity, the Agri-Foods Investment Coalition, AFIC, to provide young farmers access to financial resources to fulfill their responsibilities. The aspiration for AFIC was born at the 2022 World Food Forum by participating youths who discussed how to transform agri-food systems. Now we are challenged to fulfill their aspiration, guided by a four-step implementation blueprint. First, agree on the mission. Second, establish the leadership to operate AFIC. Third, onboard a coalition of investors and young farmers. And finally, begin operations. Slide 2. Slide 2 is a visual perspective for AFIC that bridges the chasm for connections and collaborations to invest, produce, deliver, and nourish. On the barren, rocky left side, multiple challenges and problems caused by long-standing food system obstacles, including lack of access to financial and other resources, have been existing. These are compounded by more recent unexpected impacts from COVID, climate, and conflict. Taken together, these old and the new obstacles are thwarting food securities. AFIC's mission should be to serve as a bridge that facilitates access to investment opportunities to enable young farmers and allied agri-food entrepreneurs to acquire appropriate scientific tools, resources, innovations, and capabilities to achieve food security. By establishing AFIC, production and delivery of safe, affordable, and nourishing foods will more likely occur with a green future that you see on the right-hand side of the slide in front of you. These 5 principles should frame the character of AFIC's mission. First, AFIC should be a freestanding collaborative entity. Second, AFIC should be co-created by a group of prime movers, including but not limited to the Global Alliance for Climate Smart Agriculture, the International Agri-Food Network, the International Fund for Agriculture Development, the Food and Agriculture Organization, and the World Food Forum. These primary movers should develop AFIC's terms of reference with responsibility for stage setting, building out, launching AFIC, and initiating AFIC's operations. Third, AFIC should identify, onboard, and nurture a network of informed and active farmers and entrepreneurs. Fourth, AFIC should share knowledge and help explore financial opportunities among potential investors. Fifth, AFIC should identify and develop multiple engagement venues for young farmers and potential investors to interact to assess income generating opportunities. Slide 3 defines 10 virtual and in-person venues that can be tapped to fit individual country situations and conditions. They range from Shark Tank-like approaches to one-on-one investment pitches to specialty forums and others, and perhaps like the ones that you all have been through recently. Each will facilitate farmers' access to a coalition of potential investors. The key to each investment engagement will be to help AFIC prepare the farmer's specific proposal, message, and their ask. In the AFIC stage setting, the prime movers should guide a landscaping assessment. Key influentials and thought leaders will assist with this assessment to validate AFIC's mission, its details, its guidance, and financial support, and most importantly, generating initial funding. Identifying and onboarding a coalition of businesses and financial investors will conclude the stage setting. Information from the landscape assessment and the influentials will be invaluable for the stage setting and build-out phases to define AFIC's core principles, establish its mission and goals, develop a strategic plan with key priorities, and to shape the character and management responsibilities of the independent secretariat. Once the AFIC pieces have been assembled, a launch plan with communications and public relations outreach will announce the operation of this unique entity, creating an information buzz among farmers, investors, and development stakeholders on how AFIC's resources can be utilized. In summary, a consensus exists that global food systems are not providing adequate amounts of affordable, safe, and nourishing foods to sustain the daily activities and support the health and well-being of all people today and in the future. A preclusive impediment is that farmers and agri-food entrepreneurs lack access to investment opportunities to acquire resources to maximize production and delivery of more nourishing foods for consumers. AFIC will be the unique entity that provides access to essential investment opportunities, allowing young farmers to get their jobs done. AFIC will open unlimited and magnificent opportunities for young farmers to gain access to scientific advances, innovative technologies, and other capabilities needed to produce and deliver more nourishing foods. AFIC will present a 24/7 environment for young farmers to engage with potential investors through locally driven opportunities with access to in-person and virtual engagement venues. AFIC will provide training and mentoring to young farmers to enhance their likelihood to success in acquiring the requested investment. AFIC will create a network for young farmers to share their experiences, lessons learned with each other, and offer participation in other policy and regulatory venues. The prime movers that I mentioned earlier are urged to act immediately to build and operate. Give the farmers the tools and capabilities and resources that they will need to get the job done. One of my mentors frequently reminded me that in my global food security activities, I will hear many people who will talk about change, but the few that he said I should follow are the ones who will work to cause change. The time is now for each of us to be cause changers and stimulate the many more who we want to follow us. Thank you. And I also give thanks to Hans Hugoven and to Massimo for the assistance and guidance that they've given me in the preparation of this presentation today. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks a lot, John. And also for the last remark you made to cause change, because I think that's what we're trying to do here today as well. Now I would like to start with the first 13 pitches in this first session with the amazing startups and for-profit teams that we will hear today. Each team will have 3 minutes for their pitch. I will be a bit, because as I said, we have 13 teams, so there's a lot. And I would like to give you all equal time. So I will be looking at the time. You don't have to look at that, but I wish you all good luck. And in between, feel free to ask your questions again and give your remarks, because that will only help the discussion. So I would like to give the floor to the first team, which is Sakwa from Bees and Trees. He will kick off. He's from Uganda and promoting beekeeping as an alternative source of livelihood. And Sakwa, share us your pitch. I think it's on the screen now. Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity. My name is Stefan Bright Sakwa, and I'm from Team Bees and Trees. Our vision is to create communities where people live in harmony with nature. However, in our project area, Bududa, Eastern Uganda. Second slide, please. Farmers have long believed that they have to choose between growing trees or food crops. Of course, they choose food crops because they want to feed their families. And that has led to a lot of deforestation. It has led to biodiversity loss. It has led to soil erosion and degradation, but also landslides because that's a mountainous area. And this is visualized in that satellite image that starkly shows barren farmlands contrasting the national park on the left. The bar graphs you see here show you Uganda's forest cover trends. We've lost over 60% of our forests, and agriculture is a very big contributor. So what are we doing at Bees and Trees? Next slide. We are motivating farmers to reintegrate trees in their farms using agroforestry practices. And how do we do this? Our model is simple. We fundraise, train farmers about beekeeping, give them modern beehives, as well as trees which act as forage for the bees. Now the farmers welcome beekeeping because it's an alternative source of income and also a safety net, especially when they make crop losses from climate-related disasters. And then they're motivated to plant the trees because they provide the flowers for the bees, which make the honey. By doing this, we are giving farmers an alternative source of income. We are restoring the land. We are contributing to climate change mitigation, but also increasing the adaptive and resilience capacities of these farmers, but also making agri-food systems work for the climate, which is the theme for this year's World Food Forum. Next slide, please. Yeah, we are working with partners. We are currently able to map all the trees we plant. So if you give us money for planting trees, you'll be able to get data about every single tree that we plant, thanks to a collaboration with Gain Forest, a Swiss nonprofit which democratizes transparency for conservation projects. Next, please. Yeah, so the farmers have started producing a lot of honey, but this is a very remote area in Eastern Uganda, and the market is not sufficient. We are very worried that farmers are going to give up on this intervention if we don't create a market. We are currently trying, we are using our small savings to try and purchase honey from farmers because we are registered as a social enterprise, but we are struggling. We need capital. And we've seen that with 30,000, we will be able to start and establish as a social enterprise that buys the honey from farmers, adds value and sells to final consumers. Therefore, we will be able to make a profit to be sustainable as a social enterprise, but also keep supporting farmers to continue conserving their farms. Next, please. Yeah, our sustainability model is over here. We don't intend to come back next year to ask for money. So the plan is to buy honey from farmers, sell to final consumers, make profits, and channel back 30% of that into the community to scale the projects. Next, please. On this slide, this is our very young and vibrant team doing an amazing job. And yes, the Bees and Trees, thank you.
Thank you, Sakwa, for your presentation, for your pitch. Are there questions here in the room already for this presentation? Someone who has a question? Otherwise, I have one. Oh, there. Yeah.
Can you tell me, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you tell us where you're selling now? Like when you're taking the honey now, what is your market and how far is the market from where you're located?
Yeah, so the market is around 300 kilometers from the city center. And that's where we bring the honey because that's where the population is high in the city, where we are selling the honey to final consumers.
Who is your primary offtake?
Sorry?
Who is your primary off-taker? Are you selling to shops? Are you selling in the local market? How are you selling?
Yeah, we are trying to use different avenues, supermarkets, but also reaching out to conferences, environmental conferences that we believe can identify with this story of supporting farmers. But as a long-term plan, we also plan to do exporting. So very many options for us, and the market is there for honey.
Thank you, Sakwa, for your remarks, and also thanks for the questions. Keep them coming. I would like to give the floor for the next team, which is called Pura. They're from Brazil, and their project aims to facilitate the transition to regenerative agriculture and scale up ecosystem restoration. Arthur, I don't know where you are. There you are. Please, do you have a microphone there? Great. If the PowerPoint comes up, yes, please share us your story and your pitch.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Arthur Venturella. I'm from Brazil. I'm a mining engineer, researcher, agroforestry consultant, and educator. And I'm passionate about restoring ecosystems with social impact. I'm the founder of Pura, Regenerative Cultures and Nature-Based Solutions. Next slide, please. So we all here know that the current food system is inefficient and unsustainable, contributing to accelerate the climate change. Next slide, please. So to transform it, we need a regenerative agri-food model that at the same time that is generating economic dividends is also contributing to sequestrate more carbon than it's emitting, contributing for the restoration of biodiversity of ecosystems, providing communities good quality of life. Next slide, please. So our solution is to facilitate this transition at the same time that we are restoring ecosystems. So we work in a format of a platform connecting different stakeholders. So we are able to implement these agroforestry systems, collecting data, doing a participatory diagnosis together with the different stakeholders to be aligned. So doing this planning in a participatory way, also always thinking about the market, taking into consideration the demands, the needs of the market and the logistics. So after it, we implement and we monitor all the different indicators in terms of ecology, socio-economic. So we have different products from it. From the implementation, we have tangible products like food, medicine, forage, timber, so timber and non-timber products. But from the monitoring, we also have intangible products, right? The carbon, the biodiversity, the water resources that we can also sell. So next slide, please. So the next, we have been working with trainings in different ecosystems, in different bioregions around Brazil. But this is not enough, right? We need to give more support. So that's what we are willing to do, to provide technical assistance at the same time that we are implementing model schools and model agroforestry systems, so people can have the experience, can understand how it works, can implement and come together with us. So we have a network with lots of products, so we can also trade these regenerative products. Next slide, please. The other one, please. Next. So our financial thesis is simple. An agroforestry project lasts for 5 years, but for the next 20 to 30 years, we will keep harvesting food, sovereignty, carbon credits, and many abundant. We are working in a multi-level and multi-stakeholder perspective, working on the community base, but also working with different instances, going from farmers to communities to regions. To do a workshop that is a complete training, so going from the implementation, so the basic principles, to planning, management, but also how to process, how to beneficiate the products, and how to commercialize. It costs around $2,000 US. To implement one agroforestry system, and this is for 5 years, it costs around $6,000. And to implement what we call assisted natural regenerations, because it's cheaper and we can also increase the impact, it's about $500 per hectare. Next slide, please. So we are willing to develop communities, develop regions, and to do so, we want to provide training, technical assistance, implement agroforestry and natural regeneration areas, but also to have processing centers where we can beneficiate, we can add value to these products, so we can commercialize to long distances, so Europe can be a good consumer of these amazing products, cacao, chocolate, coffee, and so many other things. But also we need to implement factories to produce bio-input, so we are not using any chemicals, anything. So we estimate that for one bioregion, it's around $1 million for 5 years, working with different crops. If someone is interested, we can discuss further about the financial details. Next slide, please. So in summary, this is our presentation. So if we plan together, today we can harvest environmental regeneration with social transformation and economic development together. Thank you.
Thank you. And also great to hear that you not only look at the primary part, but also look at the steps afterwards. So the processing, that you can add value in the region itself as well. But it's, I think, also very interesting to hear. Are there questions for this team in the room here? No questions? I have, oh, there, sorry. Yeah, please go ahead. And also maybe if you ask a question, maybe you can say your name and also organization, or if you like.
Hi, I'm Natalia. I'm here from Informa. We are an events and media organization. That one of the industries is food ingredients and different. Anyways, so my question is, I'm also from Brazil, and I'm just wondering the gap to bridge small large farmers, because the costs that you presented to train 50 when you convert to Brazilian money, it's really high. So I'm just wondering how you working to bridge. Are you targeting more organizations that bring the small scale farmers? Because the costs reaching those more isolated farmers seems really high. Just to put into perspective, $2,000 is probably what, over 10,000 reais currently with inflation and everything, right?
Yeah, we have been developing workshops in different places worldwide, and actually 10,000 reais is not much to develop a training. We work in a high quality training, so we provide the whole complete supply chain to different stakeholders, not only with farmers, but also with people that work with farmers, right? That provide the technical assistance from different institutions. So we capacitate them so they can multiply. So these costs consider all the costs for the training. So food, accommodation, transportation for farmers, because many of the farmers, they don't have the funds to go to the place, right? And also they are not able to go out from their farm, to don't earn the money that they would earn at that day, at that period. So we also provide this scholarship to them. So at the same time that they are there, being qualified to implement agroforestry systems, to maintain, to manage these agroforestry systems, and also to process the agroforestry products from it, and also to commercialize, to be also connected in a very strong network. They also receive a scholarship that is converted into trees that they can plant in their farm. So actually it's not much. Actually, it's very cheap.
Thank you. And I would like to continue. Thank you for your answer as well. I would like to continue also to the next team now. I would like to give the floor to Aida Kalua, who is coming from Nigeria and working with his team on a project called Quality on a production of safer and quality beans. I don't know where you are.
Is it not
Oh,
a
yeah, there,
paradox
sorry.
that in a bid to preserve beans, farmers are actually poisoning consumers of beans in Nigeria? 200, next slide, please. 200,000 Nigerians, including under 5 children, die annually due to the consumption of contaminated food, according to Nigerian Agency for Food, Drug and Administration and Control. Nigerian beans or cowpea, black-eyed pea, is highly toxic for consumption due to high residue levels, and which is traceable to pesticide overuse in production and especially in post-harvest stages. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Our approach is 3-pronged: enlightenment, training, and empowerment. Next slide, please. As regards enlightenment, we'll be organizing awareness campaigns, radio jingles, using billboards, especially radio jingles in local languages, procuring hermetic storage bags, which discourages farmers from using chemicals and preserves the lives of over 200 million consumers. Our ask is $64,000 for the growth and impact of Quality. The investment will be used for the following purposes: scaling our market outreach programs in Ibadan North communities in Nigeria, procurement and distribution of 10,000 hermetic bags to 200 farmers and traders, scaling of integrated pest management trainings. Next slide, please. Our impact metrics include reducing pesticide usage by 20%, increasing farmers and traders' revenue by 60%, reducing post-harvest losses from 45 to 5%, and increasing adoption of alternative storage practices by 25%. Next slide, please. This is our amazing team. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Adeklua. And also for those that just joined us, welcome, good morning. Is there a question for this team Quality that you would like to answer? I would like to ask you, Adeklua, can you explain a bit more about your business plan? How do you envision it for the future as well?
Thank you very much. What we intend to do is more of a training and extension practice. So we go to the local markets, we meet farmers in their local languages, we explain to them the hazards of using pesticides, and we also provide alternative solutions. That's where the hermetic storage bags comes in. Our sustainability plan is that after the first 1 year, we have experimental plots where we produce high quality standard cowpea positioned for export in partnership with the NAQS, the Nigerian Agricultural Quarantine Services, and the NSPRI, the Nigerian Stored Product Research Institute, of which we have been working with from the beginning. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Then I would like to give the floor to the next team, which is Wetlands for Nepal. This team is utilizing invasive aquatic weed for biopesticides. Manoj, floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. Am I audible? Yeah, I'm Manoj Mali and I'm representing Wetlands for Nepal. So let me begin with my own story. Most of my friends I grew up with in Nepal are no longer with me because they have left the country looking for better opportunities, like better education and better employment. They have left the old indigenous farming. Next slide, please. Agriculture used to be one of the major occupations of Nepal with 66% engagement of people in agriculture. And it's even more important for my community because I am representing Mali community, which translates to the gardener in English. So I used to be an actual farmer But now we have to change the agriculture. I mean, we have to change the occupation because agriculture in Nepal is no longer profitable and is hard to sustain the family. And it's even bitter. I mean, it's even, I really, it's really saddened. It's really, I really feel sad because if you come and look at the villages are completely empty and the agricultural lands are even left uncultivated. And next slide, please. Likewise, there is a wetland in my locality, which is under also, which has great cultural and religious importance, but it is also under immense threat because most of the part of this wetland is covered with aquatic invasive plant. Next slide. So being the youth of same community, we couldn't stay idle. So that is how Wetlands for Nepal team got initiated. So we are tackling with two issues, that is wetland degradation and the scarcity of fertilizers and fertilizers and pesticide in the community and the whole Nepal, because Nepal has to rely completely on foreign countries for importing chemical fertilizers and pesticides. Next slide, please. So so our team is cleaning up the wetland, and the byproduct obtained after cleaning the wetland is being used as the raw material for our biopesticide. So till date, we have successfully prototyped the product into 5 different variations. We have done testing and on our testing, we found out better results. So we are pretty sure that it works in the fields. But now, next slide, please. But now we need support from you. We need some financial support and technical support so that we can actually turn out this project into a successful business venture. Our actual product is Cholmal, which translates to a liquid biopesticide that can be used directly in the farms. So I hope if we use this, it's not much more, but at least this product can help in organic farming. And then also reduce the dependency on foreign countries for importing chemical fertilizers and pesticides. So I'm looking for financial support so that we can scale up our project, and then we can invest in more research and development, as well as I'm also looking for some potential investors for this. Next slide, please. So this is our team who are working for the success of this biopesticide. We have 2 successful mentors, and one of the mentor is John Hamel, who is doing regenerative agriculture in Nepal, and he's based in Netherlands. So we are getting a lot of support from him as well. So I have done the breakdown of the budget that we currently need, and for the success of our biopesticide. So the time is now. The place is Nepal. I want to create the history with you. So do you have 35,000 euros to be the part of this change-making process? Thank you.
Thank you, Manoj, also for mentioning this urgency that we need to change this also now. Is there someone here in the room, maybe I look also in the ring back, who would like to ask a question to this team, or maybe some explanation or remarks, tips, feedback? Yeah, please go ahead.
In your budget, I don't see a line that addresses any kind of financial support for the team members, including yourself. Have I missed that? Or
yeah.
is there a line that has that?
Yeah, of course. In
There
the
is.
second last line, you can see DSA.
Can you put that up again?
Yeah, in the second last, you can see DSA.
Oh, got it. Okay, fine. I just couldn't see that. Okay. This is a really fantastic initiative. I think it's really impactful, and it resonates very greatly certainly with me and probably with most people in this room. But I cannot believe that a grant of some order or something could meaningfully help you now. And I don't know who the grant donors are in this room, but really well done. Fantastic. I just hope that you all have some kind of financial support to keep this going.
Yeah, thank you so much.
So hopefully someone hears that remark and takes it up with them. Next, I would like to give the floor. Thank you, Manoj. I would like to give the floor to Ristilab, Sophia from Italy, a scalable hybrid restaurant laboratory located in the Italian rural region of Salento. Sophia, please go ahead.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here to present initiatives alongside such bright minds. So my name is Sofia Cavalleri. I'm an ethnobotanist researcher. I just completed my PhD, and with my co-founder Amabile Cortiglia, who is a chef, we started this R&D startup. Next one, please. So our strength is that we come from different worlds that are connected, the kitchen and the research. And when talking about sustainable food systems, we always say that they are disrupted, but we often look at them from one perspective. So our transdisciplinary nature made us really perceive different things about the sustainable food system. And moving on. The main problem that we looked at was that we only eat 70% of terrestrial biodiversity. We only eat 50% of marine biodiversity. And he does a lot of fishing. So it was like, why is this possible? And then there is a loss of local biocultural heritage in our region, but everywhere, even when we were confronting with other people from different parts of the world. So moving on, we looked at the loss of biocultural diversity, which was the biggest problem for us, because in our region, it's very rural, but very rich in traditions, in cultures, in how dishes are made and passed on from generation to generation with the beautiful recipes. And so we looked at a way to retain this, to preserve not only the biodiversity of the region, but also the culture that is connected to the biodiversity. That's the key, we think, to have sustainable communities and sustainable food systems. So we developed this hybrid model of Ristolab, that is a restaurant and a laboratory. And we just flew to Bangkok in Thailand to scale up this model and really put it into practice in a different culture. Of course, adapting it, but trying to adapt to a different culture, a different biodiversity, a different system, but with the same model. Moving on. Our solution is very participatory in nature. We decided to go to the farmers market, to meet the farmers, to meet the fishermen, to understand who is behind the sustainable food system. And by doing that, then we created this event, this vision that is narrative in the first part. So I, as a researcher, explain what a sustainable food system is, but then it's very much practical in a second time, because him as a chef cooks the sustainable ingredients into a beautiful dish. And then people can really digest the complexity of knowledge and they can remember because they taste it. So moving on, our services are divided into three. We do Mediterranean retreats, so people can reconnect with our land and really experience what the Mediterranean diet is with the local communities involved. We do Mediterranean schools where kids can learn these ancient practices and touch by hand what it means to move on and bring forward traditions. And then we do sustainable menus. So we provide consultation and consultancy services to chefs, to restaurants, to different stakeholders in the region and abroad. And moving on, we are asking for different things to support these services. We are already collaborating with a local regional university, the Università degli Studi di Salerno, Department of Pharmacy, to use food as medicine. But what we would like to do is to really install this new model of laboratory in a restaurant. It's a bit expensive, but we think at the beginning, it's an investment to then have a scalable model that can be scaled in different contexts, also sociocultural contexts. And we had a proof in Bangkok when we were trying to do that in Thailand. And then the other things are experience tourism packages that we're implementing in the region and sustainable menus online, for which we would need some support with the websites. So that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sophia. Any questions here in the room? Because I was wondering, if you scale up to other regions, do you then work with the local community there because it's a different gastronomy, different way of working? Can you explain a bit more, and also how you work in the model there on the business side?
Yeah.
Can you explain?
No, that's an amazing question, because our participatory model is exactly to do that, so that then our menus are, of course, sustainable from a social and environmental perspective, but also local, seasonal, indigenous. So all the ingredients are sourced with the local community of farmers and fishermen, but also with a component that gives back to the community. So it's a menu that it's not owned by us, by Ristolab, but by the community itself. And then Ristolab only becomes like a label that grants that certain standard of like sustainability criteria.
Great, thank you. Any other questions here? Remarks? Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you for your pitch. It was really great.
If
I'm
you can
just-
talk a little bit slower, a little
Oh.
bit closer to the mic. Yeah.
Is it
thanks.
better?
Great.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, amazing work that you're doing. I'm just wondering, is it just the two of you working on it? Because all three projects, seems it can be a whole project on its own. So I'm just interested if you can share more on the operations, how, if there are more people working with you guys.
Absolutely. This is also connected to my PhD. When I was in Thailand, I studied community-based agritourism, which was mind-blowing for me, because then you can really leverage on the community to make it your collaborator, and then redistribute the income that you get with the sustainable tourism packages, for instance, across the community. So when we develop these packages, we involve other entrepreneurs in the region, the farmers, the agritourism where tourists can stay, and we just take care of a part of it, and then we co-develop it together. Because in our region, transportation is also a problem, for instance. So you really need to stick together to make it happen, a whole tourism package to make it work. So it's co-developed, and then the benefits are also redistributed with all the collaborators.
Thank you, Sophia. Thank you for the question as well. These were all teams from startups, at least we will hear later as well, some of them again, but from the Youth Food Lab. So this the profit organization from the Youth Food Lab. And now I would like to continue with the startup projects that also presented already earlier this week. And I would like to start first with GK Aqua. I would like to give the floor to, and I hope I pronounced this correctly, Giva Kupusami. I hope he's, yes, there you are. Yes, thank you. I hope I pronounced it correctly.
Yeah, that's right.
Great.
All right, thanks.
Can you give us, can you give your pitch about GK
thanks.
Aqua?
My name is Jiva Kupusami. I come from Malaysia. Next slide. So Malaysia or Southeast Asia, including Pacific and some part of the world where Latin America is home to giant freshwater prawn. Unfortunately, in last 2 decades, many farmers have shifted from growing freshwater prawn to much more commercially lucrative species like Leptopenis venomine. The primary reason because of the conventional breeding methodology produces larger population of female prawns in comparison to male prawns, which have much more higher weight gain. So we have invented a non-GMO biotechnology method just to create male prawns. Basically, we take a male and we do a gene knockdown, become polar, and marry with a pole. They happily produce just male prawns. So with that, the farmers can get 3 times larger prawns, 3 times higher market price in Asia. When the prawns are larger, they pay higher market price, 3 times fastest growth. They can harvest within 3 months compared to conventionally 9 months. And of course, they get 3 times more yield. Next slide. So as a company, we democratize biotechnology in the value chain in terms of genetics and breeding and also nutrition. And we work with community contract farmers. Next slide. So we have created a program called MUGA, Malaysian Udangala Entrepreneurs, largely because a lot of youngsters comes to us, they neither have land nor money. So we worked with financial institutions to back them with a very low interest loan, often up to 2.5% interest rate, by the company being the ultimate guarantor, and also get them the land, select one large parcel of land, and we give them the technology and also the management practice, and we guarantee buy back the prawns to sell to B2B and B2C market. Next slide. So moving away from the genetics perspective, the nutrition, because you grow aquaculture species in inland, but what do you feed them with? You again take the sardines and anchovies, grind them, and make it as a fish meal, and then feed them. So it's not sustainable going forward. So we are working with underutilized crops, Sesbania grandiflora, better known as hummingbird leaf, which is leguminous. They fix your nitrogen. They have an absolute nutritional attribute to become a good quality feed. So putting all that, next slide, putting all of that different technology in one area, one context, one community brings the sustainability to the next level, because the crops does a carbon sequestration. I mean, does photosynthesis, therefore there's a carbon sequestration, and the crop are fed to the insects and the insects are fed to the maggots. So communities evolve around different business of the value chain, exist in the same area, hence reducing carbon footprint. Next slide. So as a company, we have also looked into other regions, because freshwater prawn is about $5 billion business. We're working now in Bangladesh, India, Taiwan, and few other potential countries. Next slide. So in the last 5 years where we started to struggle, of course, the Malaysian government and honestly, generously supported us a lot of research grants. Last year, we have doubled, compared to last year, we doubled our revenue from $0.6 million to $1.2 million. And we're also a profitable company. So from now onwards, from 50 hectares of creep, we are targeting to scale up to 30 hectares and 1,500 hectares in the next 5 years. So we are looking to raise our Series A funds by $3.5 million. Next slide. So that's our team, comes from a very diverse background, from biotechnology, engineering, legal, business, and finance. Next. So from 2 people in the company, we've grown to 48 now. So growing more, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Giva, for your presentation. Are there questions in the room, remarks for this team? Yeah.
Hi, my name's Lucy Whitaker, and I'm a journalist specializing in food ingredients. Thank you for the presentation. I think it was a really great pitch, and really great to see that you've doubled your profits already in the past year. I was wondering about your kind of offshoot streams. Sorry, I was wondering about the people that you're kind of selling the produce to. Who are your main buyers? Are they big ingredient companies? Are they big manufacturers? And where do you see the future revenue streams? Thanks.
So when we dive further into feed ingredients, is often a chicken and egg story. So if we produce, what volume, what price. So currently, to tackle that, to scale up, that's why we put all the different stakeholders in the same environment. That means we produce the crop and the insects in the same environment where the aquaculture operations is. So then we spin off another company called Center Biotech to take that particular business to vertically integrate that, so we can be self-sustainable and also can scale up from that approach.
The follow-up, are you also producing then feeds for other like aquatic animals, or is that in the pipeline for the future?
So Center Biotech is his spin-off company, really looking to revolutionize how we can produce feed ingredient for aquaculture species, especially taking Malaysia. We have 6 million hectares of monocultures, non-sustainable palm oil. So these crops are now put in between these trees to be planted as a intercropping, so that we can have more biomass to feed to the insects, and finally the insect meal become a larger scale of feed ingredient going forward. And this is very suitable for salmon, fish, and shrimps. And of course, we work on shrimp. So we have managed to using bioprocess methodology to make it tweak to suit the aquaculture species.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. Now we continue to another presentation. I would like to introduce Deborah Gill from Cool Books. Data science is reliable There you are. An alternative long-term storage technique with superior insulation and ice battery technology. And she also presented yesterday already at the Extreme Tech Challenge. So hopefully you're ready.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me, everyone?
Yes.
Yes. So very quickly, I will introduce myself. So I'm Deborah Gael. I'm the COO at Coolbox, a company that wants to make refrigeration affordable and accessible to everyone. So I'll start my presentation with this picture. The lovely lady you are seeing on the screen right now is Mama Ibadan, one of our very first customers. She's a fish trader in Lagos, Nigeria. And one day she told us, your product is the best investment I've made in my life. I used to throw away my fish at the end of the market day, but now because I had no place to store them. So why would someone like Mama Ibadan make such a statement? You need to know that today in sub-Saharan Africa, over 700 million people like Mama Ibadan still do not have access to electricity. And as a result, they lack access to refrigeration. If we compare the situation with Europe or the US, where we have 100% penetration rate for refrigeration, in sub-Saharan Africa, that percentage is only 17%. And I repeat, only 17%. As a result, every single year, 40% of food produced in sub-Saharan Africa is going to complete waste. And though cold storage is the solution, affordability is a major issue. And on top of that, when we do have fridges, freezers in that region, they tend to be old models that are still using refrigerant that are very dangerous for the environment. So, of course, we have a solution. This is where we come in, Coolbox. So we created a very unique solar-powered solution, able to generate continuous refrigeration for up to 4 days, even without electricity and very limited sunlight. So I guess the next question is, what is the secret? How are we able to do that? So basically, we use a very unique property of water, a technology called ice thermal storage, where we store energy in the form of ice rather than storing energy in the form of batteries. But then you can have the best technology in the world. If it's too pricey and people like Mama Ibadan cannot afford it, there's no point, right? So to make the product very affordable, every single system is integrated with our IoT technology. It's called pay-as-you-go, which enable our customers to pay in really small installments, as low as $5, $10 per month. So they can pay on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis. So the product is very affordable, innovative, but also eco-friendly. Really excited to tell you that as of today, we've been able to reduce GHG emission by up to 38,000 metric tons, and we want to triple that in the next 3 years. Let's talk numbers very quickly. So as of today, we sold 5,500 units in 24 countries. We operate primarily on a B2C model with average gross margin of 65%. Our revenue has been growing by 2.5x every year, and we are about to close the next round of funding. We have great partners that believe in our solution, that believe in our mission, the likes of Danone, Orange that we just signed, B-Box, and Coca-Cola as well. We are going to launch a pilot with them. This is the great cool team with very passionate, experienced people. Yes, and we have a team of over 145 cool employees. And I will end my presentation here with one of my favorite pictures. It's actually Mama Ibadan. She's in the middle, installation day. So as you can see, her friends were not so excited about the whole situation, probably thinking that, we were trying to steal money from her. But at the end of the day, I guess she made the right decision. She's now experiencing zero food waste. She's selling fresh fish and she now runs a very successful business. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deborah, and hopefully our friends are happy now as well with the technology. Does anyone here in the room has a question for Deborah? Yeah, please go ahead.
Really great product. I think it's super innovative, and yeah, I haven't seen anything like it before. So well done. I was wondering about the price point. So at what price point you're selling the units, and I guess now that you have partnerships with big manufacturers like PepsiCo, you're planning to scale up to B2B production as well, maybe. But yeah, you could talk a bit about that.
So price point will depend on the size of the freezer, the battery capacity, but on average it's between $600 and $1,500. But the customers can pay over a period of 12 or 24 months, so we make it very affordable for them. And then the next question was production.
Yeah, it's about scaling up to like B2B production.
Yes. So today, the B2B business represents 30% of our total revenue. The money is actually with the B2C, where we sell directly to customers. Obviously, the margins are higher and we are in control of the whole process. And just to add about the production, I'm also super excited to tell you that we just launched our local assembly plan in Nigeria. We got funding from the French government, so we'll be able to assemble locally our freezers and fridges and be able to reduce the price for the customers.
Yeah. Great, thank you. I see another question here. Oh, and then go there.
Just a follow-up question on the B2C customers. I mean, it's so great to see that you're already selling internationally as well. Just a technical question on support on the products, because if you're targeting B2C and there is a problem with the product, is it easy to fix? How is the logistics on supporting your customers?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I mentioned that we have a team of 140 cool employees. 60% of them are actually engineers, technicians, because operation excellence is key for us, and we want to make sure that our customers are happy at all points. So regarding after-sales service support, we are now pretty good. And we are working on integrating AI, IoT to be even better so that we can monitor our system from a distance. Today, if there's any issue with the product, we have to send an engineer to our customer, check what's going on, then they go back to the warehouse, pick up the components, and then go back to the customer. With IoT and AI integration, we'll be able to monitor, from a distance, and we'll be able to be more reactive when it comes to maintenance and after-sales service.
Did that answer that question? Yeah. Thank you. And I saw another question. Yeah.
Thank you for your presentation. It was very beautiful. Does this work? Okay. So my question is about how much solar base or electricity base is these refrigerators. From my own experiences, it's like the major issue we have at least in West Africa, where I'm from, not much about refrigerator, but about load shedding. Most of the time, load shedding, unstable power supply. So most of the time, power goes off for hours, sometimes in days. So as much as people have refrigerators, it become almost like useless, and food still go waste, even though they have multiple refrigerators. So what is the proportion of your reliance on solar powered compared to being relied to the national supply of electricity, for example, and how balanced are those? And you talk about batteries. Most of the time, those refrigerators just go bad just in a blink of an eye. When the power goes back in, the refrigerator is spoiled. So it's about maybe the efficacy of the engines to sustain to those power change quickly, and also the ability for people to purchase those solar power. That's why you didn't much talk about that aspect in your presentation, but it was great. Thanks.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry, I cannot look at you while talking because I need to keep the mic. So that's a really good question. So we have customers in off-grid areas that depend 100% on the solar panels. So the freezers will come with solar panels. So those customers, they enjoy refrigeration 24 hours. Then we also have customers in weak grid areas. That's basically what you mentioned. So the system is able to switch on auto between the grid and the solar system. So if electricity is available, the system will work based on the grid electricity. If there is a power shutdown, at that point, the system will switch automatically to the solar system. So our customers will enjoy 24 hours refrigeration and waste is not an issue.
Thank you. Thank you for this question also as well. Now I would like to continue with our next team, which is Matthew Mitchell from Organicin, a venture-backed biotechnology company that developed a library of novel bacteriocins that overcomes major obstacles in antimicrobial drug discovery. That's a whole mouthful, and I hope we can hear more from you.
Great.
Good luck.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. My name is Matthew Mitchell. I'm a medical student and co-founder of Organicin Scientific. I'm here today because bacterial disease is projected to cause trillions in economic loss by 2050. It means the food you eat will become more expensive and less nutritious. The population will be more susceptible to illness, and our quality of life will decrease. This issue is pervasive in that it affects everything from our food to our friends and our families. And so I'm going to show you an example. Shrimp has gotten very popular over the last few decades and should come as no surprise because they are as delicious as they are nutritious. But this growing demand has led to intensification, which means that these shrimp are kept in poor conditions with less space. And that is a tailwind for disease. One of which is called acute hepatopancreatic necrosis disease, or AFNID for short. AFNID is a new bacterial infection that in 2013 caused a collapse of the Southeast Asian shrimp farming industry and is single-handedly holding back the shrimp production industry. Great. And so right now we're solving this with antibiotics, but we can't do that for long. You see, there are millions of pounds of clinically important antibiotics used in the animal food supply each year. These antibiotics accumulate in the environment. They're toxic to humans, animals, and pollinators, and they contribute to the antibiotic resistance that we see in hospitals. Yet we need a disease-free food supply. And so what if we could create something that can fill the role of antibiotics, but without the environmental harm or resistance? Fortunately, we don't have to create anything because bacteria already do. They produce these antimicrobial proteins called bacteriocins that are biodegradable and highly targeted. And that means that we can treat the disease without causing resistance. But there is a catch. While we don't have to create these proteins, we do have to find them. There are trillions of species of bacteria, and each of them produce their own bacteriocin, which has a unique inhibitory profile. And so it's like finding a needle in a haystack. And that's why Organicin Scientific has developed a machine learning platform capable of efficiently discovering and developing these bacteriocins into products that we are going to use to take antibiotics out of our food supply. Our first product is a bacteriocin-based feed additive that prevents AFNID in shrimp and has been validated in 2 separate studies to increase survival by up to 165%. But this is just the beginning. We're hoping to start in aquaculture before moving on to different markets using our technology and ultimately taking on human health face first. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, you're tackling a quite challenge as well with the antimicrobial resistance. Are there questions here in the room? Because I do have one, actually, because we already know for a long time that antimicrobial resistance is an important issue. And I was wondering, because bacteriocins are also not new in science, I was wondering what are the challenges till now that prevented us from using them, and why do you think it will happen, or why it will be fruitful now?
Yes. So that's a great question. And so one of the main reasons why an approach like this hasn't been done previously is that in order to effectively prevent resistance, you can't use broad spectrum antibiotics because it kills a lot of bacteria. And so it creates a much greater opportunity for resistance to happen. And so you have to be highly targeted. But But if you're going to be highly targeted and you are trying to get rid of these trillions of different bacteria, then it's very difficult to find these proteins. And so typically in pharmaceutical companies in the past, what they've done is just screen as much as they possibly can. It's called high throughput screening. And so they just screen millions and millions of samples, but that's not economically viable. And then these samples, again, we don't know, even once we find something that inhibits the bacteria that we want to get rid of, we don't know if it's going to make it to market, if it has the right commercial properties. And so really what we're seeing now is that a combination of using these bacteria, since there's a lot of predictive capacity with them, because bacteria use them as a form of competing with one another. And so by understanding their microbiology, we can actually predict a lot about these bacteriocins. But then recently, with the advent of machine learning, we've been able to churn lots of data very quickly to find and predict the characteristics of these proteins. And so we can find them a lot more rapidly and actually produce products out of them that won't develop resistance. And so that's kind of the big difference. Thank you.
Great, thanks. Are there any other questions here in the room? Yeah.
Hey, great presentation. I was wondering about the kind of algorithms and technology you've developed already. Is it very specific to shrimp, or is it quite versatile? And if so, how come you haven't started using it yet for other, I don't know, like viruses? Like obviously avian flu has been a massive thing this year.
So another great question. So so what we have right now is a technology, a platform that essentially can take protein sequences and determine which ones are bacteriocins. So that's like the first step. And then from there, we can use a number of different algorithms that allow us to predict the characteristics about them. So things like, inhibitory profile, like what they're going to target, their stability, whether they're going to be stable in the environment that we're trying to use them in, and a bunch of other characteristics about them, like their mechanism of action. And so it's very diverse in that it's really just to find the proteins themselves and not specific to shrimp. And so it can be used across multiple different verticals. And so the reason why we're using it right now in shrimp is that it is a kind of an urgent market. It's a good prototype market. So in 2013, this disease came out of nowhere, and it just kind of highlights how not only do we need to have effective antibiotics, but an ability to find new solutions. And so we decided to, hone in on this market as it's a new and urgent kind of issue. And in addition to that, the regulatory is a lot lighter, fortunately. And so by taking that avenue, we can get revenue earlier on, which can support us in more challenging, more lengthy regulatory markets, such as like terrestrial agriculture. And of course, human health takes forever and is very expensive. And so it's kind of building a foundation earlier on with these markets before we tackle more complex, lengthy markets.
Thank you. And just to clarify, you mean regulatory, it's lighter. Do you mean then for the use, do you mean then in the shrimp area or in the bacteriocins usage?
So a little bit of both. So primarily in shrimp, right? So we're targeting for this, we're just using it as a feed additive. And so it's not a veterinary medication. And so it doesn't have to go through a lengthier process. And that's just because, so these are proteins, it's essentially food for the shrimp. And so using that avenue, we can get to market a little bit faster. If we wanted to do a veterinary application, something like, in terrestrial agriculture, that's a lot more common, then it would be, say 4 or 5 years. And so generally speaking, for bacteriocins specifically, though, compared to something like an antibiotic or something that, if you would consider it fully a drug, they tend to have lighter regulatory because they're non-toxic to humans. They're proteins, so they don't degrade, or so they biodegrade in the environment after they, elicit their effect. And they've actually been used for a couple of decades. A few of them have been used as food preservatives. And so they are generally recognized as safe, and you can essentially eat them as humans. And so the regulatory is a lot easier for bacteriocins.
Thank you. Then I would like to continue now with the next presentation, which is Zebra Crop Bank. who was also yesterday in the Extreme Tech Challenge as well. Buffy will introduce CropBank for us because this startup provides a technology-enabled solar-powered micro warehouse with access to end-to-end post-harvest supply chain solutions. They enable farmers to store, manage, and monetize their products. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. So at the moment, the continent of Africa loses an estimated 1.3 billion tons of produce every year, which is very significant when you consider that over 140 million Africans are food insecure. The implication in my country, Nigeria, is over $9 billion lost per year. And my country at the moment has over 25 million people who are extremely food insecure. Currently, the turbulent climate conditions fuel these challenges further by expediting the spoilage process. And the chronic lack of last mile infrastructure means that crops are exposed for longer periods. So, I mean, it's very significant when you consider the fact that, first of all, agriculture is our largest employer on the continent. It's definitely so for my country. So these challenges force rural, small, disconnected rural farmers to sell their produce at huge discounts. They sell very quickly to get whatever they can while they can, trapping them in a cycle of poverty. Yeah. I mentioned yesterday that a farmer leader we work with describes the situation as working like elephants and eating like ants, which is actually what it is. So, I mean, I think all of the above make it clear that there's an urgent need to address the last mile post-harvest management infrastructure on the continent. And these are the challenges that Zebra Crop Bank is working to address. We started doing so by developing a tech-enabled network of micro solar-powered storage houses, which we call crop banks, directly at farm gates. Our crop banks provide doorstep access to storage infrastructure, sales channels by serving as a sales point, price transparency, and working capital using the stored commodities as collateral, a process that increases efficiency, transparency, and accessibility. Over the past 18 months, bootstrapping, we have directly engaged over 1,500 farmers with a net stored value of over $2 million. We have deployed 12 crop banks, of which 8 are fully operational. We've secured 2 government partnerships, 1 possible country partnership, Sierra Leone. And our model, we work on a shared economy model, which allows individuals, organizations, and foundations or development agencies to plug in pre-existing or newly built storage units into our network. So from these partnerships, we have 45 banks on standby, which we haven't started utilizing yet. And we have secured a partnership that could possibly unlock access to 1.1 million farmers over the next 5 years. So this version of our deck actually does not have our financials because this is what I used yesterday. So I will speak very quickly. We've raised just shy of $1 million over the past couple of months. We have also got $1 million in a debt offer as well. We're still currently raising. We are about 500K shy of our target amount. So with Crop Bank, farmers are able to determine when to sell, how much to sell, what volume to sell, and it makes them price makers and no longer price takers. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. Are there any questions here in the room now? I was wondering, because you are like a platform, a lot of data probably also comes in. Can you explain a bit more on who owns it, where does it go to, and how do you keep that also transparent?
So that's actually very interesting. I'll say something on that. About 2 weeks ago, I was in the Africa Food Systems Forum in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. There was a company there, Ken Taste. It's a coconut processing company based in Kenya. And they mentioned that when they were trying to set up their operations, the data being propagated by development organizations and the country said that Kenya produced millions of tons of coconuts a year, and a particular region produced hundreds of thousands of tons of coconuts a year. And that informed their setup. But after they set up, they realized that the total amount of coconuts they were realizing from the country was less than the total amount of coconuts that they got was significantly less than projected, and definitely less than what was said for the whole country. What happened eventually was that the country Kenya and their region started to use them as a basis, the data point as a basis to inform the coconut industry, because they were on ground. Same thing is starting to happen with us. So for the regions where we operate, the local governments there now utilize Crop Bank as a data channel, basically. It was not our objective at first, but we have found that it's something that is becoming an interesting facet of our operations. The data is transparent through our platform, so everyone can see it. But we're trying to become a bit more deliberate about how we sort of access that data. Propagate that data, sorry. Yeah.
Thank you. And are there any other questions here? I wait a bit for the door to close again. Thank you. Then I would like to continue with the next presentation from Susan Payne. I see you behind there. Already some quick questions also from you. From Sustainable Planet, you also presented yesterday your project. You will explain us a bit more about your business, which is an agri-food technology company growing water lentils on a large scale while contributing to the regeneration of the Earth's resources. Can you explain a bit more? Thank you.
Thank you. Can everyone hear me? Because the
Perfect.
acoustics are not optimal in this room. Sorry. Okay. My name is Susan Payne. I'm the co-founder of Sustainable Planet, and the company is one growing water lentils on non-arable land. We address three critical global issues. One of them is food security and providing better nutrition to all. The second is climate adaptation and mitigation, and the third is agricultural regeneration. We all in this room and in this ecosystem appreciate that we will have to increase food production by about 50+% over the next 25 years. And the problems that we face include increasing our protein requirement globally, but sustainably, when there's a lack of arable land without further deforestation. And we also face issues of increased desertification, saline intrusion, water and food scarcity, soil degradation, and drought. And what Sustainable Planet can offer is a solution that provides access to all to global food and economic systems. We effectively turn lemons into lemonade. We take land that nobody wants and we produce food. So we can produce nutritious plant protein from salt flats or on the desert for human and animal consumption. In this case, we are embedded in 6,000 hectares of non-arable land, salt flats actually, about 200 kilometers outside of Maputo, and growing plant protein in shallow ponds exactly like this one. It's highly scalable and highly nutritional as a product, and it uses 15 times less water than soya, grows 365 days a year, and doubles in biomass every 48 hours. To give you some idea of this scale, soya will produce 1 ton per hectare per annum. This will produce 40 tons per hectare per annum. So it gives you some idea of the scope and scale and breadth that we can reach with this product. It's organic, it's easy to transport, it can create thousands of jobs for subsistence farmers, and it also reduces CO2 emissions because it's a carbon sink, and we can sell carbon credits as an adjunct business to the main business. Other applications are also possible with water lentils, and this includes medicinal support. Big strides have been made in diabetes, for example, in Israel. It's a superfood. It contains not just protein, 45% protein actually, but also all essential amino acids, vitamins, omega-3, and many more. Our business model and IP are simple. We start with the cultivation of the plant. We then extract the protein from the plant, and from that we create food products like the ones that you've just seen, and carbon credits. We work with the best universities globally. One of them is University of Wageningen in Holland, best in class in water lentils. And we have the exclusive global license to create a colorless and odorless powder and isolate that can be used in sports shakes, protein pastas, breads, etc., to boost protein content. Our focus is on smallholder farmers. We want, frankly, almost exclusively to work with smallholder farmers. And this resonates on a number of levels. One of them is that we can increase wages for these farmers by up to 3 to 4 times, and their education and knowledge. It gives much more complete nutrition to that base, and also crop diversification to smallholders, well, subsistence farmers, in fact. And this company addresses 14 of the 17 SDGs. The management and advisory team is very experienced and robust. We have, frankly, specialists across the board, from agriculture to science, finance, technology, and project management at scale. Our milestones in the last year have included being listed as a top Fortune 500 agri-tech company. We won the Food Tech Challenge Award earlier this year. We're a finalist in the African Startup Award out of 8,200 companies, and that is going to be decided next week. We were nominated for the Earthshot Prize, and we showcased our first products at Gulfood. We've trialed this product in 8 countries now, and we have started the flagship site in Mozambique. We're investment ready and seek between $5 and $20 million of an investment. The returns on this product are robust because our production is low cost. The model can be franchised, which is what we fully expect to do, not just in Africa, but beyond the borders. We're actually opening an office in Abu Dhabi next week, and we have massive demand. The demand that we reach, demand that we see is quite extraordinary from literally around the world. We think that this product offers a scalable and very specific solution to provide better nutrition to all across the globe. And because of its scale and because of its impact, we think that it is in a unique position to actually grow considerably and to reach millions of people. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. And actually, I had once a conversation with someone about duckweed or water lentils, and they told me it tastes a bit like spinach. Am I correctly?
And they told you what?
It tastes a bit like spinach.
It tastes a bit like spinach, but it depends on what state you get it in. There's the raw material, and then there is the isolate. So you've got different stages of this. The raw material is a bit like spinach or like seaweed, very, very light. Nothing like spirulina or chlorella, which I can barely swallow, but I'm a vegetarian and I could eat this very, very happily, even in the raw state. And it can be added to food in the raw state, but in an isolate form, it can go anywhere. It can be used in sports shakes. It can be used very widely to replace soya. So wherever you see soya or whey powder or pea protein or much less sustainable proteins, that's where this can be.
Thank you. Are there any more questions? Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I can't look and speak, but great pitch. I mean, I love that you're tapping into like the dual problem of like feeding the world and helping the environment. So yeah, really, really interesting product. Me and my colleague are quite active in the kind of nutrition space and especially the functional food space. So obviously this is a huge opportunity for this product. I was wondering if you could go into a bit more detail about the partners you're currently working with in terms of like end products, like who you're selling this to, what applications it's being used in. And then I was also wondering on like the health claim front, because obviously you mentioned like the protein content, like have you got any kind of certified health claims on the product, or is that not necessary?
Yeah, we have assessments that we've done, and we've actually done a lot of data analysis. We couldn't actually have progressed this the way that we have without working hand in glove with the University of Wageningen alongside 4 other universities, 3 in Europe and 1 in the States. But the health claims we can back up with research data, and frankly, our product is trialed whenever sporadically on site. So we actually go to South Africa and test and trial it as well. In terms of our partners, there are multiple groups that want to partner with us, but we have to produce more to get to the scale that they need. So it's the really, I would call them the big boys, you know, the very big league that need to replace soya. and understand that this is a very good replacement because of the lack of deforestation and for obvious reasons, the much lower use of water. So when we can start to produce scale and the funding will get us to that scale, then we will start to work much more actively with the big players and the names that everyone would know of, the names that, you know, the Unilevers, the Mars, the groups that produce large food content.
Thank you. I have a small question actually, because I had once a conversation with someone who wasn't more on the regulatory side. I looked it up how it was now, because that was a few years ago. And I saw that this year the EFSA published a report on a positive decision for the use of water lentils as novel food. But it still has another procedure that it has to follow for legal authorization. So I was wondering, can you explain a little bit on the regulatory side, on the usage? Is it already truly fully accepted as a novel food, or does it still need some regulatory sides?
Yeah, it is accepted in America. It is accepted in part in Europe, with final regulatory approvals going through now. Yeah. But it is widely accepted now. The answer is yes. One thing that I would say actually is, and a conversation this has been quite surprising to me as a food grower. The demand for animal food is also just immense. And the byproduct of this is to use part of it for animal food. And I'm sure that many of you in this room probably do appreciate the demand for animal food. It is off the scale. And if one wanted to focus solely on animal food, which we do not, by the way, then it's a massive market. So it's quite interesting to see. This is not just for, and I say this in the slide presentation, but the animal food market is also immense and should be satisfied partly by this too.
Thank you. I see a pressing question in the back as well. So do you have oh, you can speak up, yeah.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Australia, question. How many megalitres directly required? What is the sale price per ton?
Okay, the sale price per ton depends on the scale of what we are producing. So when you get to an amount of 200 hectares plus, you can start to match the soya price. Our key is to match the soya price. If we can't match the soya price, we will struggle. And the soya price is $500 a ton, approximately. I mean, it's $450 to $500 a ton.
What was the other one? Megalitres per hectare.
Oh, the water usage. Yes, yeah, it's 1 liter per square meter.
Thank you, Susan. Hopefully that answers your question. Great. And then I would like to continue to the next presentation, which is actually the final one on this startup part. And I was just told that because we have 5 teams for the nonprofit and research projects, that we continue afterwards with them. So hopefully you stay with us as well. The final startup project that I would like to introduce is Stellabs Technology. The first of its kind startup in India working towards the digitization of the dairy supply chain. Ranjit, he will explain more about Stellabs. Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. I hope you guys can hear me. Yep. I'm Umesh Prajapat. I'm representing Stellabs. We work in a dairy supply chain. Next slide, please. Just to set the context, the Indian dairy looks very different from how the dairy farmer looks in Australia, New Zealand, Europe, and America. Meet Geeta. Geeta is a small-scale dairy farmer. She has two cattle, struggles with poor yield. She doesn't have access to farm services, basic farm services, doesn't have access to financial services. Whenever she goes to a bank, the bank doesn't have any data, reliable data to give a credit product to Geeta, and hence she can't grow her herd sizes. This story is not unique to Geeta. It's a story of 80 million dairy farmers in India. They are serving 1.4 billion consumers. So massive problem, and the need for solution is extremely critical. Traditionally, farmers go to a collection center. They pour their milk, or they sell their milk at a collection center. From there, it goes to a chilling center, and from there, it goes to a processing plant. You can see multiple level of aggregation happening because a small scale farmer requires multiple aggregation. But the supply chain is broken. There is no transparency for the farmer. Whenever farmers like Geeta go and pour their milk, they don't get to know the prices. They don't know when the money will come. What is the quality assessment? Nothing gets. Farmer doesn't know anything about it, right? And the cold chain and cold chain monitoring is also not there. So the quality of milk is very, very poor. And hence the traditional supply chain is not able to fulfill and not able to address any of the challenges with Geeta is facing. That's where we come into the picture. We have built the most comprehensive platform to tackle the largest crop on the planet. If we consider milk as a crop, it's the largest crop on the planet. Our solution starts with a technology stack. We have developed IoT solutions across the supply chain. We have developed solution from farms, collection centers, chilling center. We collect data. The idea is to bring transparency to the farmer. Every time farmer walks into the collection center, they see a quality assessment done, the pricing done in front of their eyes. The payment gets transferred directly into their bank account. The quality of milk is monitored across the supply chain. Hence, for a consumer who is buying the end product, the quality is assured. We have received 3 patents for our technological innovation. We have filed for 4 more patents. Next, please. The next component of our platform is input and advisory services. All the farmers who pour milk to us receive input and advisory services. We work with input manufacturer to provide nutrition support directly at the farm. This allows us to improve productivity of these farmers, which benefits the farmer. It brings traceability also into the supply chain. Next, please. The last element is the financial services bit. This is where we partner with banks, financial institution, NBFC, and we extend loan and insurance product to the farmer. All the money directly from our bank account goes to farmers' bank account. This is something which Indian farmers has not seen. They typically receive money in cash, and that also they don't know when they will receive it, whether they will receive the full money or not. Here we are transferring money directly into their bank account. Every penny is getting counted. So farmers like Geeta, they find it extremely easy to take a loan from us and repay in the form of milk. All of these services are available through our extension center. We have deployed, we have 1600 extension center. Farmer can just walk into this extension center, pour the milk, buy the input product, or apply for the loan, do the cash withdrawal as well. We have retail point from where farmer can buy input. They can also do the same thing from our mobile application as well. So all of this has allowed us to change and transform Geeta's life. We were able to increase Geeta's income by 23 times. This is one of the case study. We work with more than 50,000 farmers. On an average, we have doubled their income across the entire base. So as of now, Geeta is no longer a number. She's a success story for us and for millions of other dairy farmers. As of now, we work with 50,000 farmers across 1,600 villages. We handle 250,000 liters of milk on a daily basis. The technology stack which we have developed, we also sell it to other dairy processors, and because of which it is deployed across 41,000 villages in India at and has 3.5 million registered farmers. We are founded by passionate entrepreneurs. There are 3 co-founders. Next, and there is a seasoned management team coming from financial experience of financial institution, sales, HR, and processing plant, all of it. Next, we are backed by global investors. So far, we have raised $35 million in equity from a diverse set of investors. ABB, Qualcomm, these are strategic investor. We take their tech support. We have Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Farm Fit Fund as an impact investor. Next, as of now, we are doing $70 million in revenue. We were profitable in the last quarter of last financial year. We want to take it to $300 million in revenue in next 36 months, and we are raising our Series C for this. So that's it from my side. Thank you for giving us this opportunity. Really appreciate it.
Is there someone here with a question? Would like to ask a question to this group? Yeah, go ahead.
All right, I have a question for everyone, but I'm a journalist, so it's my job. But yeah, really great pitch. I seen you pitch yesterday as well, and yeah, super interesting, like really cool. And you looks like you've gone a really long way so far already. I was wondering a bit on the data side. Obviously, you are collecting tons and tons of data, and that's only going to grow rapidly, I guess. I wonder if you have in future any plans to kind of commercialize that data as well, or you've got too much on your plate already. But
We are already commercializing the data. So I'll give you two examples. The first one is for financial institutions. All the farmers who take loan from us, we don't use the credit history. We use our own proprietary data. We have developed something called Moose Score, which assesses credit worthiness of the farmer based on the quality of milk, the pouring pattern, the amount of money which farmers are receiving, their attendance pattern, all of it. And that's how we make a farmer eligible for a particular loan. That's example one. Example two, we give very contextual recommendation for a particular input products to the farmer. We capture cattle health data and we know what is going wrong with the cattle, and hence we recommend right product to the farmer. Here the data is not monetized. Basically, we sell input product and that's where we get our margins from. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. And I would like to give a round of applause for all the startup and projects that just presented. And I see, John, that you are packing.
Yeah.
I think you have to leave, or yeah. I was just wondering, can you give one small remark on what the projects that you just heard, like maybe some small remark, like feedback or tips or interesting things you heard?
Well, firstly, overall, I'm very impressed. It's there's a diversity of ideas. Realizing that we're dealing with multifaceted problems that require alternative solutions that need to be addressed. I'm intrigued by many of them. For example, I've done a lot of work on aflatoxins. I don't know how that might be useful for what your project is. There was another project on waste that also is critical in the post-harvest area. And I think that one of the things, although I still believe I'm young at heart, one of the things I'm impressed by about the likelihood of finally solving many of these problems that we're facing is the ideas that you young people are bringing to these challenges. My first presentation was here at FAO in 1974 at the World Food Conference. And I remember the Secretary of State of the United States, Henry Kissinger, said that within 10 years, no one would go to bed hungry. And when we had the 40th anniversary of that, I reminded him that we had a long way to go, and remind him and others again that we still have a long way to go. But my hope is that with these different ideas that you all are putting forward, that we're going to get closer to resolution. And I hope that this idea that Hans Hogeven and I have been working on with AFIC is going to be a tool that would be very useful to you all. I think that one of the things that I learned from the different positions that I've had is that it's not just having a good idea, it's being able to express that idea and to demonstrate that there's a need, there's a value, and that it's going to have a return if you're able to get support for it. And then to make sure that the idea that you're presenting is being presented to someone who's likely to be able to do something about it. So that's what we're hoping that AFIC is going to be able to do. And while the approaches that you all are taking and what happens here at FAO during the World Food Forum is a critical venue, we recognize that life goes on 365 days a year, and you're back in your country and you're a part of your country. And there are other opportunities that you might have or AFIC might be able to stimulate to put you in front of potential investors. And in order to do that we need to work with you to help you to make those those propositions. And I'll just put a plug in for another initiative that I've been working on for about 12 years now. While I was at Mars Incorporated, I've since retired. And that is something called the African Orphan Crops Consortium, where we sequence the genomes of over 60 locally consumed crops that have not been given the level of research that's needed to make them more nutritious, resistance to disease and pest, less dependent upon water, and adaptable to climate change. We have sequenced, we have improved the genetic composition, we've improved the nutritional value, and then we did the second thing. We've trained 161 or 162 African scientists that will be able to take the proof of concept from this development model back to their countries. And we're hosting a workshop in Morocco on October 26th, in which we'll announce proof of concept. And then we'll be presenting this to an FAO regional meeting, hopefully, and then the African Union regional meetings that will take place in 2024. And I would suggest that if there's a way to make a link between what I've heard here today, I would suggest that if you're able to get a much better understanding of the value of this AOCC development model, you will be able to find that there is a linkage, because this project is designed for smallholder farmers in Africa, primarily recognizing that they are women, and recognizing that there are several values. Number one, they'll be able to put better nutrition on the food on the table for their families, but also be able to take food to market and to be able to generate income and improve the economic status of their family in their region. So if there's a way, and I'll raise this with Hans Hugoven and with Massimo, if there's a way to make a linkage between what we're doing here in the World Food Forum with a project like the African Orphan Crop Consortium, I think, and I hate to use this phrase, it'll be a win-win. But anyway, that's what we're all looking for. And I congratulate you all for what you've done. I applaud you for the work and underscore the importance of what you're saying, and congratulate you. Thank you for letting me still stay young at heart.
Thank you, John. And thank you all. Thanks a lot. Yeah. And I would now like to remind you that we take a 2-minute break, but after that we will hear Marcel Beukenboom, who is permanent representative of the United Nations here in Rome from the Netherlands. I hope you all stay with us. I know it's a long sit, but we have some amazing teams that will still present. So get some water, and then we will immediately continue afterwards.
Check.
You can make a picture of this. Can I take it? Yeah. These are all the teams. Amazing. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Good. No, but thanks a lot.
Great job, by the way.
Yes. It's sort of this is a process with 18 people. Yeah. So they want to continue immediately. Everyone here. 3 hours, 2 months. Yeah, that's
Yeah, and the thing is, some sessions they want to buy.
I understand it too. Here now. Now we get everyone.
Nee, ik heb alleen een klein kamer. Ja hoor, ja.
If everyone can get back to their seats, then we will start in like roughly 3 minutes from now, 2 minutes. I don't know if I'm audible. 2 minutes. No. I will just walk around. No one can hear me.
Nice to meet you again. Hi, how are you? Yeah, how are you? Innovation team as well. Yeah. How are you? It's really great that Maximum has this idea. This team, friendly startups, they are not only participating in competitions yesterday. Yeah. I think this is like the first year we are doing this. After the next stage, like those competitors. I think
if everyone can find a seat again. Thank you. Also here in front. Thank you. Yes, thanks. Thank you all. I know it's a long sit, but we have some very interesting teams again. I'd like to welcome you all back for those, because we also have people online and maybe some of them are tuning in now. So also welcome to you. We will have another 5 pitches. So this morning we heard 13 teams already that presented their projects, which are mainly startups and for-profit organizations. In this round, we will have mainly non-profit organizations and research teams that will present their projects, either from the Youth Food Lab teams, I think mainly from the Youth Food Lab teams, actually. And we will have room also for questions. My name is Lisanne, for those of you maybe, I think, mainly online, and I will moderate this session now. And I would like to first give the floor to Marcel Beukenboom. He is representative, permanent representative for the FAO here in Rome for the Netherlands. So I give the floor to you.
Thank you, Lisanne, and it's an honor for me to be here. And I don't know about you, but if I read the papers these days, or I follow the news online, and I think of the 3 reactions that we recognize for imminent danger: freeze, fight, flight, I almost think we should add a 4th one, and that's hide, because that is what I try to do a little bit now with all that news that gets to us, and it really could get you depressed. And then being in this bubble of the World Food Forum actually gives me hope, and also so the energy to continue, because it's sometimes really difficult to keep it going with all the threats coming from all sides. And just, I don't know if you were all here before the break, but I think the last speaker referred already to where we come from. And that is a long journey already. And this building, this building itself predates the Second World War. But the Second World War itself was a trigger for first of all for the United Nations to be founded, but also for the FAO as an institution to combat hunger. And initially there was quite a bit of success doing that, but in the 60s it was found that we should actually add a leg to what was then one Rome-based institution. The second one was born, the World Food Program, because not only were we working in the FAO to close the tap, we also had to mop up the water in that respect and start feeding people that were hungry and that couldn't be helped by the development of agricultural systems themselves. So that was the birth of the World Food Program as an offspring of the FAO. But even that was not enough. So in the 70s, after another famine, IFAD was founded, the investment arm of the Rome-based institutions, and that is the how the UN has organized itself now on food and hunger and the development of rural communities. But also in the 70s, the Committee on World Food Security, so adding a multi-stakeholder leg to the institutions that we have. And still we are running backwards, you sometimes get the feeling, because the absolute figures when it comes to global hunger are not going down, not even after we adopted the Sustainable Development Goals and SDG number 2 that says we want to eradicate hunger in 2030. We are off track. And that is, again, something to really get depressed about. Despite all the progress that we have made over those decades in terms of innovations, in terms of more efficiency in the sector, and that is the reality that we face. And then on top of all that, after 30 years of relative stability after the Cold War, we are now entering again, and we don't know how long this will take and whether 2023 really is a pivotal moment in history. But we are entering a time of big uncertainty with conflicts and all kinds of global events, even pandemics that deviate us from the course, from staying on topic and getting things done. So that is the reality, and that's why I started off by saying you really can get depressed if you add all that up. At the same time, and that is my segue to you, there are people that are just born this time and take this as the reality that there is, and they see the global agenda, but they also see the local agenda of the things that need to be done. And you just take it on heads on. And that is, I think, something that really energizes. It's translating global goals to local action. And also, and that is a reality that I didn't face in my time at university or at school,
my world was pretty simple. It was a topic, and you organized yourself around it, and you started working. And that was what agriculture was like as well. It was production, full stop. And now we live in a reality where you have to take into consideration the fact that water is scarce, that soil fertility may run backwards, that you have to take care of biodiversity, not only as an input and a requirement for sound agriculture, but also as a responsibility that you don't want to further deteriorate the situation of the global biodiversity. And then on top of that all is climate, and emissions are an element in agriculture and food production as well. The farmer in the 1970s didn't take that all into account, let alone the scientists. So that is the new complex reality. And the building that we are in, and that's why I started there as well, with its almost sectoral history, has to take that in as well. And that is the birth of fora like this. And we have 4 this week, as you know. We not only talk about youth, we not only talk about investment, we also talk about the role of science and innovation, and we talk about the role of people, and more specifically also indigenous people. And all that is getting together, creating that complex reality that you have to deal with when you talk about startups, when you talk about businesses. And that's what I applaud you for doing that, for being as flexible and as innovative as you are, connecting those global goals to where you are in Nepal or in Ghana or wherever you come from. And that is, I think, something that gives us energy, working at a global level, talking about global goals, knowing that this resonates at a local level. So that is, and I'm sure I'm taking more time than I was allowed to, but this is really something that energizes and that gives hope to the people that work on those abstract levels, that it's happening in practice. And one thing that is, I think, in the title of today, that is the term scaling up. That is where it really needs to happen, because I also mentioned those figures, those millions and billions of people that really need improved livelihoods. That is where the scaling up needs to be. That is where we will have to direct finance, but because ultimately it's all about the money. But if we can make those financial streams deviate and be invested in what you are working on, I'm certain we can get things done and that we don't have to hide. Good luck.
And I really like that you mentioned a complex reality, because I think this entire week is a complex reality indeed, but also a huge opportunity to bring indeed these global challenges to the local action, because we see a lot of action here happening this week, not only here in this room, but also the entire week as a whole. So hopefully we can continue with that the coming year as well, and the years to follow, and that we will see real results from you all. So I would like to start now then also with thank you, Marcel. You will stay with us as well.
I'd like to hear what you have to say.
Great. I would like to start with the first team, which is School Meets Reef. They're from Sri Lanka. And this team is developing a cost-effective and sustainable method to rehabilitate coral reefs. The project also aims to improve ocean literacy among the young generation. Then today the team will present their project. Palindi, I think, will. Oh, there you are. Yeah.
Thank you. I hope I'm audible. Okay. So I'm Palindi Kalubovila, representing School Meets the Reef from Sri Lanka. So I think, well, I don't really need to reiterate why oceans and seas are important, but okay, let me share that as a introduction to the presentation. So as we all know, we live on a blue planet with oceans and seas covering more than 70% of the Earth's surface. Yeah, and also it regulates our climate, also provides most of the oxygen we breathe. But what's the issue that we are facing? I mean, marine pollution, coral mining, overfishing are just to name few of the challenges we are facing. And especially for Sri Lanka as a small island nation, the healthy relationship with oceans and seas is really crucial for us. majority of our population and industries are based in coastal regions. Also, 80% of the tourism infrastructure is based in the coastal region. And our main animal protein source is fish. So I think we can't stress more on the importance of why we should work on improving ocean literacy and also marine conservation. So that's why we came up with this project as we applied for the Nature-Based Solutions Challenge organized by the Wageningen University. So we piloted our project in Calcutta, which is in the eastern province of Sri Lanka. So there are several reasons why we selected that location for the pilot. Yeah, so our project has two main approaches. The first one is reef restoration, where the establishment of coral nurseries and reef balls. The second part is increasing ocean literacy and also training the youth as change makers. So we are especially focusing on schools in the coastal region. So our aim is to transfer the responsibility of taking care of their coral reefs by the young people in the area. Yeah, so already we have done more than 9 school sessions and have educated over 900 school students. Yeah, so these are some of the main goals that we are. If you click, you'll be able to, yeah, keep clicking. So yeah, that will appear. Yeah, so these are some of the main goals that we are contributing to through our tasks. So you can see, obviously, like all the jargons are there. So that surely shows that we can contribute to all these main targets through our project. So I think the most important thing about our project is gladly we could partner with most of the stakeholders that are working in this sector, government, non-governmental, scientific organizations, also corporate partners. So I think we are glad that we could bring together this strong network of stakeholders already. So for the to kick off the next phase, we are trying to expand our project into other areas also. So that's why we are looking for around 15,000 euros funding for the next phase. So in a latter phase, we are also thinking of tapping into markets like ecotourism and also selling carbon credits. So yeah, that's about it. And also happy to hear if you have any questions or if you need any clarifications. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Palindi. Are there any questions here in the room? Not now. I would like to ask you a question. Can you explain a little bit, because you explained like more on what you would do with investments. Can you explain a bit more like where you want to stand maybe 2 years from now? What do you envision for that?
Yeah, so as I said, okay, like the immediate next phase we are looking at is to expand, but the latter phase would be to diversify. So that's where we are trying to look into, especially like, as I said, ecotourism. I mean, most of our members are currently like studying abroad, but whenever we tell that, oh, like we are doing a similar project, I mean, we are all the team members that we are working with are all from like biological background and doing marine biology, environmental science. So the people that we are meeting are also like most of the time from similar backgrounds, and they are very much like to come and volunteer for like certain periods. So that's something we are trying to tap into. So like student volunteers coming and working in our projects, that's one thing. And also about like tapping into the market of carbon credits. So yeah, of course, expansion first and then looking into diversification.
So in the future, you can do an internship with School Meets the Reef.
We can look into that. Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Interesting.
Is there another question here in the room for this team? Otherwise, I would like to continue with the next team, which is Food Bank of Olivia. Bolivia, sorry, Food Bank of Bolivia. And I would like to give the floor to Bruno, who will present this team today. It's the first and only food bank of Bolivia committed to solving the problems of food waste and undernourishment in Bolivia. So Bruno, can you explain a bit more about that?
Of course. Well, hello everyone. I am Bruno Ferreira. That is my team. It's a multidisciplinary group of young and bright people. We are extremely committed to our objectives since we all started out as volunteers. We have 27 years old on average, a 66% female majority. And together we founded the first and only food bank of Bolivia. We founded this nonprofit in 2018 to address the big and prominent problems that our country faces every day. Undernourishment, food waste, and food loss. Problems that, if managed correctly, can cancel each other out. We do this by salvaging food from different sources, food industry, wholesale markets, and farmers that would be discarded otherwise for commercial or logistical reasons, to then redistribute it to vulnerable populations from foster homes, community kitchens, and vulnerable families, and others. We have a sustainable and scalable model thanks to the recovery fee we charge our beneficiaries that is around 10% of the real market value of the products we deliver to them. This allows us to scale our operations according to the food we salvage and deliver. We have managed amazing results to date. With 5 years of activities and the help of many partners, we have managed in 2022 alone to distribute around 380 tons of food to more than 28,000 beneficiaries. And this year we hope to far exceed those results. We are a part of a complex and big system that is comprised by many actors like farmers, markets, of course, the beneficiaries, donors, and many more, where we influence positively in the different cycles, social and environmental. What I want you to take away from this system is that we're a bridge between abundance and scarcity. And one of our goals is to eliminate the hunger cycle in which many vulnerable populations are trapped for generations. We have some side projects we have implemented last and this year: a hydroponics plant to diversify the food we deliver, a dehydration plant, solar, to increase the shelf life of fruits and vegetables, and a composting plant to take full advantage of all the organic waste. We have some future projects that we would need finance to implement in the coming years. First, it's the expansion to Santa Cruz and La Paz that would significantly increase our capacity of salvaging food and of reaching vulnerable populations. By being in the 3 biggest cities in Bolivia, we would have a national reach since we could reach the other states from the central exit. That's for the Food Security Reinforcement and Validation Program. That is a 1-year plan to deliver and transport food to a vulnerable population from Misicuni in Cochabamba. They suffer from lack of food accessibility, undernourishment, and many other health and development issues. So we would deliver the food and at the same time, with the help of a nutritionist, give advice on how to improve their diets and also measure the impact of our services by taking anthropomorphic measurements of the children of the zone. For the expansion to Santa Cruz and La Paz, we would need to acquire the different assets, the logistical assets, and also cover our passive costs for 6 months until we can sustain ourselves on those new facilities. We expect to grow not only in the amount of vulnerable populations we serve, but also in the amount of food waste and loss we prevent, and of course the CO2 emissions and other repercussions that food waste and loss have. Finally, I would like to say that we are working on a law that makes it so food companies can no longer destroy their products for convenience, and they have to donate them instead. And this would mean an exponential growth for us, since we would be the only system that could allow the food industries to do that. That would be it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Bruno. It's really also amazing to hear that you're not only looking at this solution, but also look at the systemic change in the long term by looking at the regulations as well, so that it can no longer be wasted in the future. Hopefully the regulations will work out very soon.
Yeah.
I was wondering if there's anyone in the room who has a question or maybe something. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Hi, Bruno. Well, that was a brilliant presentation. I really enjoyed it. I have a quick questions, which based on my experiences with food banks back in the US, there's so much resistance from food retail stores to actually donate the food that they are more likely to not sell. They rather just dump them into the dumpster, and people go in them and trying to fish them out. Even that, they have security guard that do not allow people to go and search for food in a dumpster. So I'm just wondering, from your perspective in your country, is this something that happen easily for stores? So like, okay, this food is probably gonna go bad in the next couple of days. So how about we just donate for people to go and eat for free? Or how does the food go from the stores to your company? Thanks.
Okay, so to give an answer to that, we have different sources of food loss and food waste in our country. Mostly is food loss that comes until the wholesale markets. So since our farmers have a lot of lack in information and technology and the storage capacity and transportation capacity, there's a lot of food loss there. That's one of the places we get it. On the food waste side, on the consumer level, like in many other countries, we have a lot of food waste coming from the consumer because of the lack of information, the bias on the best buy date on the products. And yeah, on that level, we don't work so much on the consumers. It would mean a lot of logistic capacity. It would mean a lot of time invested. So we work mostly on wholesale markets, on farmers, and on the food industry. That is also one of the biggest sources of food waste, since they prefer to destroy their products rather than donate them. Also, I would like to tell you about this law. Is really, really important because we have a very stupid law right now that makes it so the industry, if they want to donate their products, they have to pay taxes. So it's completely opposite of incentivizing them to donate. So we have managed to overcome this by doing some paperwork. It took a long time. So they don't have to pay taxes to donate to us directly, but it's also a lot of cost for the industry. So this law would mean a really great deal for us. And we are working together with the food industry, with the government to make this law. And yeah, it would mean an exponential growth. It would be pretty big.
Thank you. Are there any other questions here? And I would like to continue to the next team is Hydropen. Thank you, Bruno, from Kenya. Working on mitigating the challenge of inadequate food supply in arid and semi-arid regions of Kenya by using climate-smart agro-hydropen technology. Dennis?
Okay, thank you. I'm Dennis from Team Hydropen, Kenya. Hydropen is a climate-smart agriculture project. Hydropen system mainly focuses on arid and semi-arid regions and reliable rainfall, water harvesting, crop irrigation, and food security for the small-scale farmers in the region. So the problem we have of it is unreliable rainfall in crop production, which has led to failing of rain-fed farming by the small-scale farmers, leading to food insecurity at the region. This has led to the children of the small-scale farmers in the area to drop out of to school because of issues of food, which they think of going to an alternative source of income to have an income to purchase food. So the solution we have is building an hydropen to harvest water, which is stored, then conserved and used for irrigating the crops to maturity. Hydropen
methodology of construction. And aloe is made on the ground, then fitted with a dam liner. Then cover crops are planted around, which are supported by metal bars above the pan to prevent water loss by evaporation. And with water harvested, we were able to irrigate cabbages, kales, spinach, and coriander, raising 266.02 euros. And we believe it can raise even 1,000 euros within 3 months for the small scale farmers in the region. Hydropan uses irrigation, that is a drip line for irrigation to ensure that every drop of water harvested is accounted, and it should be made on the highest part of the land to ensure it works on gravity. Yes, please. The value of the hydropan. Hydropan has enhanced food security in the region by feeding 89.5% of the households, 89.5% of the households in the community, enhanced job opportunities for the women and youth, controlled soil erosion, environmental conservation, and the main objective is training farmers on how to harvest water and still supporting them. Next, please. That is team behind the success of an hydropan. Next. The extension and the scaling up of the hydropan. As a team, now we focus on the small scale farmers in the region. They really need water to grow the crops to maturity. So we target to build 200 hydropans for the small scale farmers in the region. And to achieve the target, within a period of 1 year, we ask for 81,255 euros. So we believe in hydropan for food security, zero hunger, and poverty eradication. Investing in hydropan is investing in small scale farmers and rural people for food security. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Dennis on this hydropan project? Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, Dennis, I was thinking about how you initially store the water in that place. I mean, do you completely rely on rainfall, or is there any medium to just to bring and store the water?
Okay, thank you, Manoj. We normally collect the service runoff. The hydropan is an alu on the ground. Then it's fitted with a dam liner which controls water seepage to the ground. Then we normally direct tunnels to the hydropan. Yeah, thank you.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, but I really wanted to know initially how the water comes in that storage place. Did they harvest using the rainfall, or they pump it and from other sources like tube well or something like that? How did the water comes in that storage place? I mean,
Okay, we normally pipe from the service runoff from ground, or we can pipe from rivers. Yeah.
So it's mainly from rivers, and but you also use rainfall water, or?
Yeah.
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 Great. Any other questions? Yeah, I see there, Nina.
Hi, Dennis. I was wondering, what was the impact for the community when you placed the first hydropan?
First of all, it was a big motivation, seeing as such a project which can impact issues of food insecurity, leading to food access in the area. You know, the people in the area lacking of food because they are drying up. Yeah, we receive a little rainfall, but can't support the crops to grow to maturity. So like now there is a new idea in the area which can irrigate the crops we have. We harvest rainwater, we store it when the rain is off and our crops not yet mature, we irrigate to maturity. So it's like they are for the idea, but somehow they need support to get it in the ground to enhance their crop growing. Thank you.
Big impacts for the community. And maybe a final question for me. The learnings, the coaching that you give, do you give yourself or do you have people from the area that provide the training towards the places where you place the hydropen?
Sorry?
So you mentioned something about learning and training, also how to do the hydropen structures and how to use it well. Do you do it yourself or do you use the community to support the training?
We normally do it as a group, and in fact is linked to the Lukenya University. They are still doing it in a different community, so it's like it's a community thing.
Thank you. Then I would like to thank you for the pitch. I would like to continue. I would like to continue to Mama for Planet. Actually, you won also this week the People Choice Award during the Youth Food Lab. So also still congratulations for that as well. You have some really nice shirts on as well. So you're good, recognizable this week. I would like to give the floor to you and your team because Mama for Planet believes that mothers have the potential to be the key actors towards zero food waste habits at the household level. They aim to raise food waste awareness among mothers and to empower the local female community. And this team, well, as I already said, presented already during the Youth Food Lab this week and won the People Choice Award. So over to you.
Thank you, Lisan. Good morning, everyone. I'm Anissa, representing Mama for Planet Indonesia, a maternal empowerment project that aims to prevent household food waste. Our initiative started last year when there was an emergency of waste in my home city, Sleman. The waste emergency means that there was a waste overload, which sadly, the majority of the waste came from household food waste. Turns out the food waste not only big in number, but also contributes to significant financial loss, environmental impact, and also health problems. And in response to that, as a group of youth coming from different fields of expertise, such as health, me myself is a medical doctor actually, but I have diverse team that came from nutrition, environment, and then technology here, and also law. We gathered together and wondered, what if the mothers can be the agent of change to reduce the household food waste? Because we believe that mothers are the key actors, and the mothers also have the potential to generate intergenerational impact because the mothers will teach the children the behavior change. Next, please. What we do in Mama for Planet is we train the female community volunteers to educate other mothers in their surroundings about the food management at home. It started from the meal planning, food shopping, until how to turn and reuse the food waste into animal feed and make compost. I'd like to mention that this approach is really important because we really aim to optimize the utilization of food resources in each house. And the food waste is also can be used for further food security at each home. For example, in our communities, there are many families that have chickens. So the food waste can be reused for animal feed, and the hens can yield more eggs to nourish the children and the families. And also the compost can be used for growing vegetables and fruits at their home. So this is a really important approach that we believe can make a transformative impact in the agri-food system in each family. And we've been working with multi-stakeholders that we really respect. Because of this collaboration, we can successfully reduce the food waste in our community our pilot project up to 61%. Next, please. And this is equivalent to saving each household 1 portion of meal per day, 6 cars emission per year, and also the money that worth 3 years of electricity bill. So in order to scale up our impact, we try to expand our commitment in form of a policy brief that hopefully can be scaled up to a similar program to another areas. And to reach more community, we are willing to digitize our initiative into a companion app. So the mothers and the families will have a friend to accompany their behavior change in reducing food waste. So it's a spoiler for the app. It will provide a customized family meal planning, customized to your family condition in terms of health and then nutritional status, and what resources do you have in your house. And then we also have the community engagement with the Super Mama leaderboard. So each action toward food waste prevention that you do will get points, and you can collect the points to have a reward such as shop discount and something like that. And we also plan to give the benefits tracker. So what you have done to prevent the food waste can be converted to how much money can you save and something like that. So in order to do that, I invite you all to collaborate with us because we've been working with mothers and families. So this is also an opportunity to your company maybe to have a brand visibility and also contribute to social environment and also food security in our community. And together we can collaborate to nurture not only the nature, but also the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Anissa, for this nice presentation as well. Are there any questions here in the room? Yeah, Bruno.
Hey, Nisa, congratulations again. So I wanted you to explain me the training process of the mothers. Like, is it a very long process? Is it just some sessions? How is it, does it have like a document attached or something like that? If you can elaborate, please.
Thank you so much, Bruno, for the question. We actually have a series of training. So it was 6 weeks of intensive training. We've developed comprehensive modules in terms of how to manage the food, for example, from meal planning and then how to store the food properly and something like that. It was developed by our experts from medical doctor, nutritionist, and also an environmentalist. So the mothers are trained and also have the opportunity to do the hands-on workshop in making compost and also the animal feed that I mentioned before. So after the training, the mothers have the opportunity to share the knowledge and be the trainer for the other mothers in a locally adapted educational event. So it was a monthly event where the mothers gather in the community, and there the cadres, the trainers that we've trained before, share the knowledge and encourage the mothers to do the same in their own house. Something like that. Thank you, Bruno.
Thank you, Bruno. I was wondering, can you share a bit about the reactions you get to the trainings from the mothers? What are the things that they learn that you're surprised about the reactions?
Okay, thank you, Lisan. Well, I want to share that the 61% of the reduction is I think will not be a reality if it's not because of the mothers. So what I believe is important in our initiative and how they react is really depend on the, the head of the village, like the influencer, yeah, the mother influencers in their community. So when we first engage them, the head of the mothers there are really excited with our project because they also have the same concerns about the environment, about the nutrition, but they don't know where to start. So they are really excited to collaborate with us. And about the gamification system, they are really interested. Like every day in the WhatsApp group, they shared what they've been doing for reducing the food waste. Like, hey, look, this is my plant already grows because of the compost. And then, hey, this is I tried to put the food into the, what is it? Container, yeah, the food container in the fridge, so it will be good for a long time and something like that. So the excitement of the mothers really help us to impact in a good way.
So you have strong ambassadors there that can really be supportive of the others.
Yes, exactly.
Amazing.
Thank
Are there
you.
any other questions here that you would like to address? I see also some connection here in food waste. So maybe some scale up to Bolivia or the other way around. Could happen perhaps. Will be amazing to see maybe also. I would like to continue now also with the next team, which is water security passionate. I would like to give the floor to Pachem from Benin, and her project is about the implications of irrigation schemes and remotely sensed data on farmers' water and agricultural productivity in Ethiopia. Pachem?
Yeah, I'm here.
There you are. Yeah.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Okay, so this presentations is on addressing the special water scarcity issue in Ethiopia. My name is Fashem Kushofa. I'm originally from Benin, but I used to work for the International Water Management Institute based in Ethiopia. So this presentation is mainly about the experiences that I gather from those regions when I work. So yeah, a few days ago, we celebrated World Food Day, and I really appreciated the theme of this year. Water is life, water is food, and we shouldn't left anyone behind. And if that should be the case, then there need to be some kind of action that we need to take in order for that to be a reality. And that's kind of what we try to tap in, even though we did not even know the theme before. So is the case for this one is Ethiopia. Ethiopia is a beautiful country, although heavily dependent on agriculture for its economy. You have several problems related to water. Water scarcity is a big threat for both agriculture and the economy nationwide. So what we try to do here is try to understand when we consider differential impact of water and access to water in the country and how it can relate to crop productivity by contrasting both rainfed agriculture and irrigated land, and also seek sustainable solutions. Next, please. So how we aim to do it is to research. I'm a researcher. And essentially we use big data sets, and one of them is the socioeconomic drivers that we collected from the World Bank that present all sort of information about the livelihoods of smallholder farmers, and also the biophysical drivers, anything that range between evapotranspiration, precipitations, rainfall, and all of that packaged into a big data set that was being used for this project. And next. Here are already some preliminary results. So one of the things that we kind of focus on is farmer-led actions. What are those farmers already doing on the ground, right? So one of the results that we got from this study was the use of AVM, which is climate smart agricultural water management, which range from small-scale irrigations, drainage, and everything. If you can see from the picture down below, you see the first one is a main river that is very can outflow during rainy season and can also very good dry during dry season. And the second picture is showing how manually farmer can, those who at least are lucky enough to be along the riverside, can divert water from the main river onto the plot. But the issue with that is like water is scarce. It is not efficient to overwater some kind of plots, and some plots are far away from the river line are of course not access to water. So we needed to do something more about water scarcity management. Just in brackets, one of the results that we have linked AVM used for is that farmers who have access to it at least have a better good food productivity that translates into better nutrition already. So how we aim to reduce water use, excessively water use in a scarcity environment is when we started involving vapor data, which help us to kind of assess the quantity of water based on soil moisture, based on the crop specificities that the plant needs in order for a farmer not to overuse its scarce resources. So next, please. Just yeah. Again. So in the end, the results of this study, which is the research analysis, will be presented on an online platform where both technology savvy farmer and those who are not that much involved in technology can access through extension services. So this is in collaboration with government, of course, and the Ministry of Agriculture, the Ministry of Water and everything. And they are working in concert with international organizations such as IMI and the CG centers, and provides in intersection with extension services nearly real-time technical inputs on water management to farmers. Next. So to sum up, the challenge that we face, at least in this area, is water scarcity. But not only that, the river not only gets dried up, but some of the plots that are nearby the riverside, they are overusing. So there needs to be a better way of managing water, not only a small scale irrigation, but also how water accountability pretty much, so that we don't overuse scarce resources, and also using essential services so that information can go to the right people. And the impact is, of course, increased productivity, better nutrition, and livelihoods for the smallholder farmer, while also attaining various SDGs. And next slide. You know, I'm a researcher, so most of my work, and when I finish, I collect data, translate them into analysis results, and it's up to the police and the policymakers to translate those one into actions. But if I were to give an opportunity to interact further with those smallholder farmers, mainly women, well, one of the initiatives I will be taking is to try to accompany them into making best use of those small-scale irrigations, which are either soil-bound or stone-bound, but also a solar irrigation pump. One of the things we learn about solar irrigation is like people have the capacity to overpump. So with the vapor data, we link solar irrigations in a way that quantity of pumping is linked to the need of the plot, the need of the crops, so that people don't overpump. And the implications of this extension services, so that they have the technical inputs that they needed in order to kind of grow the crop in a more effective manner. And additional information researchers, so what we do is collect data, analyze data, assess impact, and translate those one into either a policy brief or journal applications. And one of the things that I wanted to actually, if I just have a minute, thank the Youth Food Lab for the opportunity of making the possibility for me to look beyond being a researcher and translate what I learn, what I do in a daily basis, into more of a consultancy manner. So if I were to given the opportunity, that would be something I will do, formalize my skill set into a consultancy man, and for registration and as a startup. So next slide, that will be just me with the team of people collecting data on the field. So thank you so much for your attention. If you have any questions.
Yeah, maybe again, indeed, some round of applause also for the Youth Food Lab for supporting all of these teams. They are here. So. Are there any questions for Pachem? Thank you for your pitch. Any questions? Yeah.
Thank you for your presentation. By the way, I am Egyptian. So for the water project, I wanted to ask, even after building the huge dam in Ethiopia, is there really still a security water issue? Wanted to ask.
So one of the things that happened, especially on that water dam, is it has been quickly polarized between Egypt and Ethiopia. Water, as we said, is life, water is food, and there need to be collaborative effort in sharing resources. So my expectation is like building that dam will really address some of the scarcity issue that Ethiopia is facing, and hopefully Ethiopian's government kind of agrees on to sharing that resources so that on the downside, Ethiopia also can expand their agricultural productivity level and hopefully the livelihood of their citizens.
Great question. I also have actually a question to you, because you mentioned like that the information goes to the right people. Can you explain a bit more on what do you mean with this? Who are the right people, or who owns the data that actually is transported? And maybe an additional question there. We heard also people like you rely on an app, right? Is it also accessible when, for instance, internet falls away? And how do you make sure that also if you're far away from an internet connection point, that people can still use the app? Can you explain a little bit more about it?
Yeah, those are very interesting questions. First of all, the right people, of course, are the smallholder farmers. And this information is highly technical. I'm talking about rainfall previsions, soil moisture, and we don't necessarily expect them to be that technology savvy and be that technical in understanding those ones. So that's where bringing extension services is very key. And they have the ability to understand those technical words, technical expressions, and they understand the local language. They had the ability to communicate directly with the stakeholder, with the farmers, and translate this into more digestible manner for them. So without the extension services in the middle, it's almost like this cement that will be mixing to put the whole things together. And as for internet services, first, the platform is online, and whoever have access to internet basically can access it. And as for whether internet will be an issue, still it goes back to the extension services. They are the frontliner, pretty much the intersections between science, research, and the farmers. So as long as they are involved, a farmer will always gonna have the right information through them. And we do rely on their collaborations in having the possibility to communicate those information to the farmers. So we hope they will do the effective job as they're already doing anyway.
So it's really a collaborative way of working with the farmers.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you for the answer. Are there any other questions in the room? Maybe in the outer circle, there are some questions. No more questions. Then I would like to again thank you, Pachem. We can. These were all the teams that we hear today from the Youth Food Lab. We heard 5 of them. And I would like, thanks again for all of your pitches and for answering the questions. And I would like to give the floor also back to Marcel. Can you explain a bit about what have you heard, any feedback, maybe some remarks on the teams?
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for that opportunity. I had the privilege to hear these pitches for the second time because I was there at the Youth Food Lab as well earlier this week. And I get the feeling that I start to know you now, but there's also another reality, I think, that submerges, and that is the systemic issues that you all deal with. And listening to you for the second time, I do recognize that you are working in the current system, working on the new one. And that is not easy because you have to deal with all the features of that current system, like what you said, Bruno, on the tax system that is actually working against you, or the fact that our economy is basically linear by nature, so it's built to waste. Those are the things that you are dealing with and that you are trying to change at the same time. And that makes you activists. And of course, you are activists because you act, you do, but you are also activists in exposing the current system and showing to others that it has to change. So your stories do not only address your direct customers or recipients or target groups, they also tell an important message to policymakers here in Rome, at the global level, but I think very importantly also at your local level. And I would encourage you to keep on doing that, and not only looking at the direct results of what you do, but also expose those shortcomings of the current system, because together we have to build that new system that doesn't waste, that rewards entrepreneurs or customers that do it the right way. Those are the kind of things that need more traction and that need the scaling up, as what is the title of this session and the purpose of this session. So really scale up, but also try to stimulate movements like true pricing, because the old system rewards polluting behavior. It rewards production processes that go to the detriment of the environment or use too much water because it's not costed. Those are the kind of things that you are exposing, and I really hope you can keep on doing that, because you are at the forefront of a movement that actually builds that new world, and that is something I really appreciate, and I hope to see you back in bigger numbers next year, but hopefully you don't need sessions like this anymore, because you are becoming successful in that new system. So congratulations to you all for being here, for being successful. You have time.
Thank you, Marcel. Also telling about the systemic change. And what I actually would like to add on that is I've heard you all also for the second time, because I had the honor to moderate your session as well for the Youth Food Lab. But what I also hear is actually a lot of ways of not only looking at investment, but also looking at ways of perhaps collaboration or even sharing of learnings between. That's why I wanted to mention just now about the food waste, but I hope also that in the teams that are here now, and also together with the Startup Innovation Awards, I hope that there's also a way of getting a flow of learning towards next year, towards between the teams, between the people here, even between the regions, someone from Egypt here, where there's also water problems. So I hope that's also what this week, but also after this brings those connections as well. So thanks again. And I would like to end with this session. I hope you have heard some amazing things. I hope you can find the teams afterwards to ask them your question. I would like to thank Marcel, Maximo, and John, who are not here now anymore, but also for their remarks. And I would like to ask you all to come forward here after this for a nice group picture.
Can I add one more thing,
Yeah,
Islam?
please
Because
do.
one constant in these two sessions that I was able to witness was you as an excellent moderator, and no one is telling that. And through you, I think we should also compliment the organizers that are in this room,
Certainly
because
do.
you brought us together. So kudos to you.
And come forward for a picture.